Are Essendon real or are we fake? I'm always interested to hear what the media is saying about Essendon. It always makes news. I try to take it all in and talk about it when it's relevant. And we're going to talk about a very interesting conversation that was had yesterday about the Bombers right now. So first things first, Zac Reid had a little bit of an injury scare at training today. It looks like he'll be okay. Kyle Langford kneed him in the back, apparently. He got a bit of a knee in the lower part of the back, which can be a bit nasty. And he looked like he was a bit ginger and hobbling for a while, but Brad Scott has said that he'll be okay. So that's good news. We hope that's okay. It's not nice getting kneed in the back. So memo to Kyle Langford, just watch yourself, all right? Watch yourself. Don't go around kneeing our best defender in the back. So the conversation regarding the Bombers that I wanted to go into was on SEN last night. You can listen to SEN yourself, sen.com.au, and you can listen to all their podcasts and the like. The guy from Champion Data, Daniel Hoyne, was talking about Essendon's profile, their statistical profile, and what Essendon's improved defensive effort means. I'm going to just play what he said. It goes for about 5 minutes. It's a really fascinating conversation. I want you to listen to it, and then I'm going to chime in at the end of the conversation.
Groundhog Day. So I'm talking about Essendon.
Oh.
Yeah, this is why we're talking about Essendon today. So we obviously know where they're at as a list or where they're at as a footy club. They're transitioning, they're young. And we've spoken about Essendon and defensively for, I don't even know how long. It's been a pretty boring conversation for 10 plus years or so.
You've been getting whacked by Essendon supporters for years.
So the last 5 weeks, so since they had that bye at round 3 or 4, whatever it is, on the surface, their defensive numbers are numbers that we haven't really associated with Essendon for a long time.
In a good way.
So so Collingwood are the second. Sorry, only Collingwood are harder to score against than Essendon when they win possession of the footy. So huge tick.
Yep.
So if you win possession of the footy against Essendon, only Collingwood are harder to score against than them. When the ball gets inside Essendon's defensive 50. They are the hardest D50 to score against in the competition last 5 weeks.
That's 2 ticks.
Huge. Yeah, and as I said, we haven't seen that with Essendon. However,
not the turnover.
You've got to dig a little bit deeper into this, right? Yeah. So defensively, huge tick, but offensively at the moment, it is completely gone. There's no worse team in the competition for turning possession into a score than what Essendon are. They're the second worst team in the competition at going from one end of the ground to the other. Right, so that's something that those two profiles there are completely flipped to what we've seen from Essendon over the last 10 years. Yeah. But you've got to look at the way in which they're defending at the moment, and it's going to be interesting over the next 5 or 6 weeks to see whether or not this defensive profile, these numbers, are actually real or whether they're not. So over this 5-week period, they are the slowest ball movement team in the competition. And we keep saying there's no right or wrong way. No. This doesn't mean fast is good and slow is bad. But they're the slowest team in the competition.
Are they going slow so they can set up their defence?
In terms of their aggression towards goal, there's no team that goes with less aggression towards goal than what Essendon do. Mm. You saw it on the weekend with their just pure disposal numbers. 320 uncontested possessions they had versus Sydney.
Yep.
An Essendon team has never done that in Champion Data's history. They had 307 disposals in the back half of the ground. That's the most by any team in any game in 6 years. We talk about control and chaos. So what wins your finals and what wins you home and away games. So we get home and away games over the last 5 years, 50% of matches are control, so there's more marks than ground balls, and 50% of chaos. But in a final series, that goes to 80% of chaos. In Essendon games this year, when they've played in control matches, they are 5-0. They get to play that keepings off, hold the footy. When they get drawn into a chaos game, 0-3. Okay, so I'm looking at this going, I just wonder if this is real or if it's not real. Look at the way Collingwood defend and you go, that's real. Like, that's a defensive profile that is rock solid off the back of playing chaotic footy, fast footy, and they get involved in that sort of ping-pong game and they can stand up. Essendon give you a look. They're holding up well on the surface. I don't know if you guys agree or not. They're holding well on the surface, but how they're playing, is that real? Time will tell over the next 5 or 6 weeks when they come, especially this week when they come up against the Dogs, a really good offensive team who can get you into a chaos game. Will that profile stand up or not?
But surely if you are trying to build your defence and even build a chaos game, you've got to have a basis upon which to build. And that would seem to me the first two were ticks. And to me, that's a good launch pad. Okay, in attack, if you're then going to go slow and slow, you can quicken that up as long as you've got the defence set behind you.
Yeah, but you're also, we know in this, by doing this for so long, we've spoken about, at length for a number of years, what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
And you know what's real and what's not. The holding the footy, the keepings off the footy, the playing the control game. Yeah, I get that they're they have to start from somewhere. So hats off to them from actually just being able to get a defensive profile in place for a 5-week period that is hard to play against. But you just wonder with a younger team that is transitioning, can they actually just evolve this defensive profile over the next 5 or 6 weeks? That will be interesting to track on our end.
You're saying 5 weeks. I'm not sure it's a coincidence, but my gut feeling is there's a large part of it. I have never seen a player improve as much in a 5-week period as Reid, their fullback.
Yeah, no, he's been fantastic, and it's great to watch, and it's recognition to the recruiting staff.
So how much can you attribute in the improvement just to the improvement of the power of one?
No, I don't think he can hold a defensive system to purely one individual. Yeah, he's going to help, but I think it's more. I just wonder whether or not it's more of a collective. They get to, that round 3, round 4 bye where, they had conceded some significant scores in the first, 3 or 4 weeks of the season. Let's try and address this. Let's change up the way that we defend to actually make us competitive. This is what we're going to go with for the next 5 weeks. If that's what it is, hats off, because the defensive numbers have backed up to that. But will that stand up across the course of the season, just how they're defending?
Well, watching from the grandstand on the weekend, it seemed to me that Ben Mackay was much more confident because he had this young bloke behind him that was mopping up everything.
Yeah, and as I said, we'll just wait and see, but we've seen this story before.
Okay.
So there we have it. I thought that was a really fascinating conversation, very interesting to listen to, and interesting to listen to sort of a neutral's perspective on Essendon, where they're just looking at the pure numbers, totally dispassionately. And it's hard to disagree with it, to be honest. And I thought what was interesting, and it was something I wasn't aware of, was that in the home and away season, 50% of games are won by control and 50% of games are won by chaos. Chaos is when there's more ground balls than marks, and control is when there's more marks than ground balls. But in finals, which is, of course, what you want to win, 80% of the games are won by chaos when there's more ground balls than marks, and only 20% of games are won by control when there's more marks than ground balls, and we're winning all the games by control. And I think this is something that I have kind of been talking about for a little while, even last year. It goes back to a game. I remember we played a game against Carlton on the King's birthday, not last year, the year before, and we beat them, and it was an upset. And it was a pretty good win. But I did notice out of the win that every goal that we scored was from a mark or a free kick. Every single one. And I didn't really realise it at the time. As I was looking at the game and analysing it when I got home, I was sort of, well, gee, that's unusual to not kick a goal on the run at all during the game. And I was sort of wondering if that's kind of sustainable, and it turns out it wasn't. And we fell away that season, as we often do. And it has led me to think in regards to Essendon, in regards to what we're doing at the moment, we do tend to, rob Peter to pay Paul a lot. We fix up one part of the game, but it comes at the expense of another part of the game. We can't really seem to find that perfect utopia where we have the perfect balance between, defence and offence, and the perfect balance between a control game and a chaos game, where we can, win a game that's not being controlled by kicking and marking, which is what you need to do in finals, as the guy said, 80% of the time. So what do you guys think? This conversation last night kind of crystallises what a lot of us have been thinking. It kind of crystallises in pure numbers what a lot of us have been sort of, at least observing, I guess, with the eye test. And I guess it shows you that we've got a long way to go. I really hope that we can improve during the year. Obviously, Brad Scott has shown that in the space of 5 weeks he can improve one part of the game. I just hope that when the offense improves, because it's going to need to, it doesn't come at the expense of the defense, because obviously this improvement in the defense has come at the expense of the offense. That is unquestionable. So I'll leave it there. That's just a little bit of news in the media in regards to what some relevant people, I think, were talking about in regards to the Bombers. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this. I thought it was a really interesting conversation. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second to do so. I'd really appreciate it if you could do that. And as always, go Bombers!